Hey everyone, welcome back to another recap podcast from SNXweave, where we give quick weekly recaps of news and important updates from the previous week from the Spartan Council, core contributors, and Ambassador Council. Let's get started. Starting out with some highlights from last week, the Arbitrum rollout is adding USDE as LP collateral, doubling LP incentives to 20,000 ARB per asset per week, and also launching stablecoin incentives for USDX. The LP app is also in the process of getting a mobile UI, a better rewards distribution interface, and corrected APYs. Next, the L1 migration is getting a final audit review for the legacy market release and Treasury Council migration to V3, and the cross-chain election system SIP has gone into audit. In other discussion, Bert brought up the topic of how the decision is made to classify SIPs as meta-governance. Danny recently proposed a SIP that would eliminate the SIP presentation requirement for new perps market listings. There was some disagreement as to whether or not this was a meta-governance SIP. If so, it would require 7 of 8 votes to pass rather than the usual majority of 5 votes. Caleb reminded the group that meta-governance SIPs are any SIPs that alter the way governance happens, and he believes that would apply to Danny's proposal. He also added that the determination of whether something is meta-governance or not is really up to the consensus of the current council, in the event that it's not immediately clear. He suggested that a SIP be written to further clarify the distinction if any Spartan Council members are uncomfortable with the way those decisions are reached. Next, there were a few SIP presentations last week, so let's briefly review them. The first was SIP 395 for a P2P settlement strategy. Presented by Afif, this proposal outlines the protocol upgrades needed to support certain types of limit orders. The proposal would implement a P2P order settlement strategy for Synthetics perps markets, which parse signed maker and taker messages. Afif explained that much of the technical details have been left out of the SIP and will be fleshed out once it's been approved by the Spartan Council. He also mentioned that the project is partially funded by an Optimism grant that was awarded to Synthetics this year to build a best-in-class perps DEX. ML Pseudo asked what impact this would have on the current settlement process. And Afif answered, saying there might be a scenario where the bulk of the trading begins to happen using this new settlement design. This would mean less LP would need to be available to back trading activity. He went on to say that there may be a path where some of the P2P market maker fees could be shared with LPs so that enough incentives still exist to keep them there even if they are not collecting day-to-day trading fees. Caleb asked about potential denial of service attacks, and Afif explained that this might be an issue in a single point of failure system, but the goal here would be to have multiple relayers, including, at the very least, all of the integrators. He added that another backstop for this type of attack is that the contracts would still be active, as they are now, if for some reason there was no access to the off-chain P2P system. Because of these backstops, it's highly unlikely that a DDoS attack would even be attempted because it would be extremely difficult to materially impact users. The next presentation was SIP 396. Presented by Gunboats, this SIP proposes listing Ondo Finance, Constitution DAO, IO.net, Ethereum Name Service, ZK Sync, ARweave, Layer 0, and Avo Finance Token perps on Base. All have Pyth feeds and a Binance perp market. The last presentation of the evening was SIP 394. To delegate governance power from collateral tokens deposited in Synthetics. Gunboats also proposed this SIP, which would give Synthetics the ability to delegate governance power from tokens deposited in the system to any address set by governance. He explained that since Synthetics is now accepting multiple collateral types, there may be an opportunity to provide users with a one-click delegation option. This could be directed to any address, but ideally would be the Ambassador Council's multisig, since they are the body that is most active in other protocols' governance. Caleb suggested that the core contributors take a look at this SIP from a feasibility perspective before setting it up for a vote. All of these SIPs are still currently in draft. And that's it for today's updates. Be sure to check out our weekly recap blog post, share this podcast link, and let us know what you think and what you'd like to hear more about from SNXweave. Thanks for listening.